Hello. Okay, so today we looked the other day at websites, but when you're building a website, you have to do something that all business people have to do, and it's something very important. And you can also do it for homework and for schools and for everything that you do, which is really good. One thing that is quite interesting, and we always start now with phrases, is someone that we really, really like, and we have said a number of really good things, and is time is precious. Do not waste it. Do you remember that we did a lesson about people and batteries, and we said people are like batteries because we only have so much charge, and if we use all the charge then we're not going to have time for anything and we just waste time doing loads of stuff. Do you remember that we did that? And we said most important thing and the biggest resource that anybody has is time. Who do you think that said that? Who?
Steve Jobs.
Yes, Steve Jobs. Very good. So Steve Jobs say that. So Steve Jobs said that, and it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because he invented the mobile phone, and I always think that he may have said that because maybe he had a mobile phone that was running out of battery, and he thought, "Oh, I wasted all the time just playing stupid games, and now I cannot make really important calls." And he thought, look, we're going to do that. Time is precious. Don't waste it. And I just want to do that because there is something else that is really important, is what we're going to look today at things, and is the most important word that you have to ask yourself every day as an entrepreneur. And what do you think that is the most important word that you should ask every day?
Why?
Why? That's brilliant, Isola. Why did you think that?
Because everything's done for a reason, and you need to ask yourself why to be able to know, like, why am I doing this? Why aren't people going to like it? Why are people going to like it?
And that's the problem. A lot of people, they stop asking why. A lot of people just think that what they do is the best and nobody else does it better. But they never stop and think why. And one thing that we looked at last time was your website. And the first question that you have to ask yourself when you're doing this homework that you're going to do is why? Why are you going to do a website?
So people can access it.
Some people can access it, so the question is, so people can access it. Why would you do a website? You know, if you do it, Sophia.
Otherwise, if you had like a shop or something and you made a website about it, as no one was really coming, you want them to see your shop. Otherwise, that's why they're not coming to your shop.
So you want people to know about you. So people to know about you. Do you remember what we did last time? That we said that we can use for everything that we do, even when we do a CV, that we use to look at the internal and external factors, and we look at something that was an acronym, and we look at it and we said it's really important to look at these to make sure that we are comparing us against other people and look at our strengths and weaknesses and opportunities.
SWOT?
SWOT, exactly. So we also look at SWOT. So when you look at each of them, you ask yourself that for things, and then you go back to why. You start saying, because my strengths are that, that's why I'm doing that. That are my weaknesses. That's why.
Maybe, I don't know, but maybe doing it online, like a website, is a much cheaper way of how. So say you're not with money at the start of your business. By doing it on the internet, you have to pay for your name. But if your name's quite cheap, that means you don't have to rent something out and stuff.
So it may be cheaper. So it goes back to the first lessons that we were doing before, when we say how expensive is to have a mortgage or pay rent. A website, you just need a little desk, a little computer, and you can do it yourself. So it can be all done by you, and you don't have to invest a lot of money. It can be very easily done. Do you think that you need to do it yourself, or do you think that you should get a professional to do it for you? Because if you go back to what we said before, if you need a team of people, some people are better at things than you are. So there may be people that know to do a website a lot better than you do. So if you were going to do a website, what is skills that you think that people need to do a website?
That you know how to do it.
So you need to know how to do it, but so how to do it, and that is the technical bit. So it is how do you actually get to do a website? So that's the technical bit. Is how do you actually build it? Isabella.
I can't remember their called bits, like market research, like someone.
Okay, so you need to do market research, because depending on what market you're going to target, you need to know how to use it. So Sophia's books, if she's going to sell only kids for book for kids, that's what you're going to do. You're going to decorate it and just sell their books. But also you're going to just make sure that that person knows very well what do that market likes. You know, what colors they like, what colors they go for. What else do you think that you need to do? You need somebody maybe that has very good.
Visions for things.
No, maybe is very good at art, because a lot of the websites combine art. So you may need somebody with an artistic background, so they make things look nice and beautiful and do everything very nicely. So that's you need the important thing of that is you are doing that for a reason, but then you're asking yourself, okay, I'm doing it, but what do I need? And all what we're doing here very easily, and I don't know if you have noticed, is I'm helping you with your homework. I'm saying to you, we're having a rain of ideas. So a lot of the time when you're going to do something, the important thing is not to start doing something very quickly without thinking about it. We're thinking here about the process of why we're doing something and what do we need to do things. One thing that you haven't said to me is, and you are of that age, is where do all the kids of your age go on the internet? What are they called? Do you know, what do you do all day that he says, oh, are you doing that again?
TikTok and social media.
What is that called? Social media. So, do you know what social media is? If somebody asks you what social media is, what do you think that social media is?
It's a place like via the internet where people can communicate with each other and post what they're doing.
So it's about interaction. Okay, social media is about interaction. Interaction with people is about communication. It's about meeting people. It's about telling people who you are. Okay. What else does social media gives you? How many platforms? Tell me platforms that you have. What platforms do you have that are social media platforms?
TikTok.
So it's TikTok. Which other platforms do you think that there are? Sophia? Prodigy, okay, that's the platform. What else do you think that you have?
Snapchat and Instagram.
Snapchat, very good. Snapchat. Instagram. So all these platforms are allowing you to communicate on the web. And it may be that this website that you're looking at and that you're going to create needs to somehow be linked to this, because that's where people go to. So it may be that one of the pages that we are going to do is completely linked to some of this advertising, because people don't have time these days. It goes back to the thing of why do you do things and how much time do you have. A lot of people just in the morning just go shh, and if they like something they go pim, and that's the people that you want, because if somebody's looking for a book, maybe they're not going to go straight to your website. Maybe all what they do is have a TikTok account and they just go, ooh, that's a good book, or that's a good dance, who does that? Oh, that's Isabella's DHA, ooh, that's brilliant, boom. And that's the people that you want to attract to your website after they have been to social media. So you have to give people a way that they finish in your website. So the other person that you may need here is, who do you think that you will need in your team as well?
People that has good communication to everyone.
Absolutely. So people that are communication experts. And there are people that are really good at communications and know social media really, really well. That people will help you. They will say, wow, look, you don't need to be in Instagram because Instagram is for all people. What you need is TikTok because your company, it needs to have a TikTok account because that's where everybody that your market research people goes.
On TikTok as well, when you first log in, it sometimes has an advert straight away, and they're always like different. So instead of having a account that people which has less thing of people seeing, it's more likely that if you make an advert that is the first thing that people see on TikTok, it will get advertised more.
So you have to pay for that. And another person that you're going to need is somebody that is very good with what?
Sales.
Yes, and what else? With money. So you need somebody that is going to be really good at helping you with budgets. You know what a budget is? Just try it. Think about it. What is a budget?
Isn't a budget the amount of money you have and how you're going to add more to it?
No, a budget is the amount of money that you have for a specific task. So if I said to you, and we will add this, exactly, it's a limited amount. So I will say to you, if you were to build the website that we're going to build, how much money do you have? What is your budget? So somebody's going to say to you, what is your budget? And you say, my budget is £100. That's how much I have to spend. If you're going to get somebody who's really, really good at each of these things, the likelihood is that you're not going to have enough money because they are going to be a lot more expensive than £100. So you have to prioritize. You have to say, the most important thing for me is somebody is very good technically.
What happens if you go over your budget?
Well, I'm doing very well because if you go over your budget, it means that you are not meeting the criteria. You may have to borrow money. So you have to pay for more or you cannot do it. So your budgets are very important. Budgets for all of these are very important. So when you do your website, the budget is going to be £10 or £2 or £100. And people that have lots of budgets, they say, oh, look, I have a lot in my budget, I have £1 million. But you cannot waste any of that money because if you pay too much for somebody that is artistic, they may be the best at that, but you may not recover the money. And what happens if you lose money? You don't make a profit. And what happens if you don't make a profit?
Then you go down on money.
Then you go down on money. What happens when that happens?
Your business is over.
Your business is over because you won't be able to pay people, you won't pay employees, you don't have any money to pay anybody, and then you collapse, and all because you weren't able to stick to your budgets. So you always have to stick to your budgets. Having budgets is really important. So from the outset, again, it goes back to this question, that is why. You're doing it, but why are you doing it under that budget? Why are you spending that money? Why do you need one of these people?
How do you estimate a good budget?
Well, first, where do you think that your budget starts? How do you? It's not a wrong question, but how do you think that you set up a budget? So we're looking at the website. Where do you think that you start when you say, I want to put a budget?
By working a lot?
No, because you don't have any money. So the budget is, you say, well, the first thing that you have to think about a budget is you need to be able to access that money. Because if you cannot access any money, it's not going to be a way that you have a budget. So, how do you think that you reach a budget? First of all, you have to think, I have £1,000 in the bank. If I have £1,000 in the bank, how much of that do I want to invest in this? And you may say, maybe half of what I have in the bank. So you say, I'm going to invest half of that. Second thing that you can say is, I'm going to borrow money from my budget because this is going to give me loads of returns. The other thing that you do for a budget is, you have to think which of these you're going to need, but then you're going to have to ask for quotes. So you're going to have to say, hey, rather than, you know what a quote is?
Isn't it so you have to get someone else and then they give you like something they say about business. For example, Sophia's business, a quote would be like from the Daily Times or something saying why they like this book to make
No. So that's a quote that somebody says, or well, they quote, that's a quote of a
someone
statement.
gets a quote.
A quote is, I go to Sophia and say, Sophia, you're really good at art. How much would you charge me for that work? And you say, it's going to take me so much time, it's going to be £20. Then I go to Isabella and say, Isabella, you're very good at art, how much you're going to charge me? And she gives me a quote, she says, for me it's £30. And then I have to decide, who do I choose? Do I choose Sophia or Isabella? Because if I choose Isabella, it's going to be more expensive, or Sophia is going to be cheaper, but are they as good at each other? But then I ask the question, why I'm going to ask Isabella? Is it because of the price, or is it because she's better, or is it because I like her work more? And then I have to do that. I cannot choose the first person. I have to go through a process. And I have to ask in the process all the time why I'm doing that. But you have to act. It doesn't mean that you have to delay the process and not do anything. You just have to go through a process. And then you get to the budget. So your question, Sophia, of how do you get to the budget is about looking at everything together and thinking, how much am I going to spend? And then I'm going to stick to that. But I'm going to look at how, and you may be below budget, and if you're below budget, that's fine. A budget doesn't mean that you have to spend the whole amount. It just means that is where you want to finish, because you know that above that, you may not be able to recover the money. It's when you start business. So if you were going to sell lemonades, and you needed to buy lemons, your budget for lemons is only £10, because if you go and pay £20, you know you won't be able to say to recover the money. So you always have to have a budget that is the start of the process, because you know that you can achieve a recovery on that amount. Make sense?
Yeah.
So you know now what you have to do for a website. And I want you to have a budget. I want you to tell me how much you think that it's going to cost you and how you're going to spend the money. And you have £100, each of you.
Okay.
Okay? See you tomorrow.
Thank you.